Welcome to Little Voices, Big Questions. I'm Austin. And I'm Amelia. We may be little, but we ask big questions. On this show, we talk to athletes, business owners, and inspiring people to find out how they got where they are today. Because we believe that no dream is too big, no matter how young you are. So get ready for fun, inspiration, and some big questions. Let's jump into today's interview. Today we have an amazing guest. He's not just an incredible football player, but he's also a coach, a champion, and get this, his dad's in the NFL Hall of Fame. That's right, he played at some of the best schools, won big championships, and made crazy plays, and was also invited to the New England Patriots minicamp. And now he's coaching in the NFL, helping other players get better. We're so excited to talk to him today and hear all about his journey. Please welcome to the show, Coby Tippett. Coby, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Before we get started, we just want to know what is one thing that made you smile today?
One thing that made me smile today. I would say waking up and enjoying, just enjoying life. I would say that being able to wake up and enjoy life today. That's what made me smile. So, and being able to talk to you guys today.
One thing that made me smile today was when my little sister said like a bunch of weird words. One thing that made me smile today was when after I finished my math competition, I got donuts from my mom and the meeting.
That's awesome. Love the two great answers.
Thank you, Coby. Let's jump into some of our questions. We want to start with some of your personal background and early football life. What was it growing up with a dad who was an NFL Hall of Famer? Did he give you any special tips?
Yeah, it was really cool, obviously, growing up, with my dad having a big background in, football and martial arts. So he was my coach when I was growing up. So, you know, that's at that age when you're learning just the foundation of football and, how to play it the right way and, understanding everything that goes with it. It's obviously great to learn it from someone like him who's, had so much experience in football. So obviously, I took a lot from it at a young age and, tried to, um, you know, learn even more as I got older and take things I learned from him when I got older and into college. So, yeah, he definitely taught me a lot and, is still teaching me to this day. So, yeah.
Did he teach you any martial arts?
As a young kid, a little bit. It's funny. I obviously I played a lot of sports when I was younger. Just like you guys, you play everything. You want to be active. You want to do, every sport there is possible. And karate. I did it for a little bit, and then it just was one of those things that I didn't want to continue. And of course, my dad wasn't happy, but it was just one of those things. I didn't have as much passion, as I did for football or basketball or soccer. But obviously I still respected that was his passion and but it just wasn't something that I wanted to continue to do.
Our dad also gives us tips when we're doing our gymnastics.
That's awesome. Absolutely. You got to take all the tips you can from dad. Dad knows a lot, so make sure you guys listen to him.
Was there any sport that you wanted to do that besides football?
You know what? Like I said, playing every sport when I was, you guys' age, that's what I enjoyed so much. If it was football season, I was playing, football and, you know, soccer and, the fall time, doing everything during that time. And then, in the winter it was basketball or track. and then the spring, track again or baseball. I would say I really like basketball a lot. Basketball was really probably a second passion of mine on top of all the sports that I played. I think just in the fact that it's a team sport. It's not an individual sport, so you need other people to come along with you and help you and build something together. And that's the great thing about team sports is it's not an individual goal or situations going on. It involves a whole team of people. So basketball was a really fun sport that I loved, and on top of football. And I played it up until really my senior year of high school. So that's what I would say. Basketball was my next passion.
Our family is filling out the brackets for the March Madness. Are you doing the brackets too?
You know what? I'm not. I did not get around to doing my bracket this year, unfortunately. But I have been watching. I have been watching the games during my free time. So, it's nice doing it when the games happen all throughout the week and the weekend because you can, kind of be sitting around doing things, but also have it going on the background, on a Monday or Tuesday, which isn't normal, like a normal basketball season where when March Madness happens, it's 7 days a week, every hour of the day. So, do you guys have a bracket?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do? How's it going? How's it holding up? Are you guys still alive in it, or is it not doing too well?
Still, our dad's gotten all of them correct, except for like the very first ones.
Oh, awesome. That is awesome. Who do you guys have in winning it all?
We have them now that's winning the entire thing as Florida. Same.
Love it. Love it. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. It's always a fun time of the year in college basketball. So everyone loves March Madness.
What does it mean that you won the title, Mr. Football?
Ooh, it's a great question. It was, I know it's a award that's awarded to someone as far as individual, but you know, I think when I think about an award like that is, I couldn't get there without having great teammates and great coaches that, helped and supported me, during my time when I was at Zavarian and was fortunate enough to win an award like that. Um, I think, I had such a great time there and played in so many big games with teammates and for so many years. And I think being around just great people and great players all around on both sides of the ball was, what really, helped me get to a point like that in my career in high school. And it just, I think it set me up for, even more success in my later years of high school and then going into college. So it was a great award and, very fortunate to be recognized for an award like that. But I think, it's not possible without having great people beside you to play with.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about your most memorable touchdown during a game?
Ooh, I thought about that. I had a feeling you guys were gonna ask that question, so I thought about that a long time ago. I would say my last play when we played in the state championship at Gillette Stadium, and I caught a pick six for a touchdown at the end of the game. To we were already ahead, but I kind of sealed the deal. I took it back 90. I think it was like 98 yards, 99 yards. So that was probably one of my most memorable moments. Not only because it was, we were on our way to winning a state championship, but it was on an NFL field, which was really cool. being in high school, playing, having an opportunity to play on an NFL field or in an NFL stadium, really. So
Do you still talk to teammates?
I do. I do. I still have a great relationship with a lot of my teammates. Um, some are some are in the Boston area and some are, outside in other states, but any chance I can get to, get on the phone with them or text them, I always do it. So they're you know, great friends of mine that I still great connections with and still stay in contact with.
That's nice. How how about we talk about some of the challenges you faced along the way? Have you ever had an injury that affected your football career?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I did. So my freshman year, when I played at Towson University, um, I went in, as a freshman, you want to play right away as a true freshman and you don't want to sit and be redshirted. And I came in with I think it was over 20 guys in my freshman class. And, you know, I had a personal goal that I wanted to play as a true freshman and had a really good training camp. And when it came down to making the depth charts, the head coach making the depth charts, me and one other kid were the only ones to be, um, not in a starting role, but in a role that we were playing as true freshmen. So it was really cool, and that was an opportunity that I, um, you know, really took advantage of. But I had a very fun freshman year, and towards the end of the at the end of the season, actually, it was the second to last game. I fractured my ankle, and that was it was kind of funny because it was a punt return that I took back, and I kind of got caught up in during the play, and at the end of the game, I was like having troubles walking, like something didn't feel right, and I ended up, going getting an MRI, and ended up finding out that it was a fracture of my ankle. So, that off season, I had to get surgery, and obviously that kind of delays the off season program and training with my teammates and stuff. So that was um that was my first surgery, my only surgery that I've ever had in my life. So, it was kind of a um tough mentally and physically to get back because it's kind of mentally draining in some points because you want results really fast and you want the recovery process to happen really fast, but things take time. So it was definitely a little bump in the road, but um, I came back much better, and look forward to the next season.
How long did it affect your football career?
Um, I think as far as like affecting the football career, I think it was more in the moment, kind of the process during it. Um, you know, it's it was like I said, it was really, kind of mentally draining on me for a little bit because, I had never really gotten hurt prior to that, and I've never had surgery in my life. So, I have all these things that are getting ready to happen. I'm having surgery. Then after surgery, you gotta, start a rehab program. While that's going on, your teammates are starting, winter workouts and then going into spring ball where you are kind of you're you're back. Like you can't do that. You have to start on a whole other program. And I think it was really tough, especially being young, a freshman at that time, and kind of not knowing how to handle, adversity, I would say in a way. So it definitely it was challenging. Um and it definitely took me a little bit to get used to kind of how things were going to go for a little bit. And, but it was an opportunity that I looked to kind of take head on. And I definitely made the most of it, but it was it was all worth it.
Mhm. Did you ever want to quit football?
Quit football? No, never wanted to quit football. And I'll tell you this, tell you guys this as a little advice. Like one of the greatest things that not only has my dad told me, my mom and dad told me is, when you start something, you always finish it. So whatever you guys, whatever you guys do in life, if it's gymnastics, if it's, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, whatever sport it is, you know, whatever you're doing in your personal life as well. If you have something going on, it's something that you're passionate about and something that you want to do, you see it through to the end, and you don't give up, you don't throw in the white in the towel, you don't do any of that. So I never wanted to quit football at all. Did it get hard at sometimes, at some points? Of course it is. Team sports are not supposed to be easy. They're supposed to be hard. So, but I embraced it. I embraced the opportunity, and I embraced, the long lasting effect and joy that it could have in my life. So I never wanted to quit, and it's just something that I was passionate about. So I looked at what the best could come. So the best could come out of it. So that's why I loved it so much.
How did you keep going when things got tough?
How did I keep going when things got tough? Um, that's a great question. I would say, I think kind of looking yourself in the mirror every day, getting up every day, you looking ahead of what your long-term goals are. Again, I played football and all different sports at a young level, or a young age, I'm sorry, and then getting into the college years, and where it's really hard, and people are depending on you, coaches are depending on you. um I think just kind of looking yourself in the mirror every day, and kind of reiterating to yourself that this is your path, this is what you set out to do, and um just having that positivity on a daily basis, that the things that you want to do in life, you're preparing for it in this moment, and everything that you do up until this point is going to help you down the road. So I think it was just one of those things, being truthful with myself every day I woke up, and having a plan for everything that I was doing.
So we know that you are no longer a player, but now a coach. That's exciting. But what was coaching something you always thought you would do?
That's a really funny question, because I never wanted to coach. When I started playing football, I never had a thought in my head like, I'm gonna coach, as soon as I'm done playing football. It never came up in my head at all. But when I was playing, um, when I was playing in college, and then I finished up and then wanted to continue to play professionally, um, when that door closed, I it was actually funny. I was coming off of a flight from out of Boston. I was coming back from Dallas, Texas, where I was playing in the XFL, and had just got released, and obviously it was a very tough situation. I wasn't happy, but I had to look myself in the mirror, and I had to figure out what was next. So it was funny. I made a call to um, Gerard Mayo, who was just formerly the head coach of the New England Patriots, and I told him that I wanted to get into coaching, and he said, "Oh, really, Kobe? You sure you want to do this? It's long hours. It's grueling, but it's rewarding." And I was like, "Absolutely." I always said, if I couldn't play football professionally, then I wanted to give back to the game in other ways, and coaching is ultimately the route that I chose, and something that I love, because it keeps me around football, and helps me um you know, in life in different ways. So it's definitely been a great process, but it's something that I did not plan, um, ahead of time. It kind of just came up on the fly, and something that I kind of found a new, a new passion in.
What have been some of your favorite moments as a coach so far?
Some of my favorite moments. That's awesome. I love that question. I would say being one of them was being in my first meeting when I was at Tufts University, as a cornerbacks coach. Probably meeting with the players for the first time. That was a really cool moment because I, had never been a coach up until that point. That was my first coaching opportunity, and I was sitting there like, wow, these guys are, trusting me. They're, supporting me at my age, being a coach at such a young age. Um, and, I had a really good relationship with these guys from the start. And I think it was one of those like just really cool moments that you sit back and you're like, this is awesome. This is why, not only football, but, sports in general is great because, you have guys here that are supporting you and, respect you and, vice versa. I respect them. And it's a really good, positive relationship. So that's definitely one of my favorite moments, starting at Tufts University because it's where everything started as a coach. So I go back to the beginning of how I got there.
Do you ask your dad for coaching advice?
Can you repeat that question?
Do you ask your dad for coaching advice?
All the time. All the time. I ask my dad all the time for coaching advice, for um advice outside of coaching, everything. He's got obviously a great deal of knowledge in football and business, everything. So any chance that I can pick his brain and learn a little bit more of something else, it's, you know, definitely something that I look anything regarding sports and coaching. So we spoke a lot this past season, during our season, and then after in the off season. So we were talking every day. If it wasn't texting, we were in person talking about everything. So it was definitely definitely took advantage of that opportunity.
You got a new head coach, right? How do you feel about change?
Yeah, change. I think change is good. Um, is it can it be tough? In some moments, absolutely. But um, I think when you have change and anything in life, if it's your job, um, if it's your personal life, whatever the case may be, if change happens, I think it's really good and beneficial on the other side, and um, definitely something that can be can be hard to adjust maybe in the moment, but I think it's one of those things where it's, it becomes all worth it at the end. So
What are your future goals now?
future goals. Oh, that's a great question. I would say continue to do what I love to do. You know, Again, it's one of those things where once you find your passion and you become really good at it, continue to do it. Continue to find different ways to get better. Um, Continue to network and surround yourself around people that not only can help you in your personal career, but in life. So um, I definitely am always trying to learn more. I'm always, trying to get better daily. And, I think you never stop learning, you never stop just getting better in anything that you do in life.
My future goal is to become an animator for Disney on drawing and Drawing animals in nature. My future goal is to go to the Olympics.
How about that? Look at those. Those are awesome. I love those goals. Do you guys, how often do you guys go to Disney World? I know you guys live in Florida, so how do you guys go ever?
Last year, we went a lot of times on VIP trips.
Really?
Yeah.
VIP trips. Oh my God. I'm trying to, can I come hang out with you guys? You guys are VIP. I need to come hang around and hang out with you guys.
Hopefully,
When you guys go to Disney World, do you guys shut the park down? Do they shut down the park for you guys?
no, unfortunate. We just get to skip the line.
All right, well, I gotta come with you guys next time to Disney World. You guys are VIP, so not a lot of people can get that.
VIP was really fun because we got to skip the line and we didn't have to wait that, like, the usual time, like an hour, 30 minutes, or 45 minutes.
How about that? Look at that. Yeah, I gotta come down to Florida and go to Disney with you guys because you guys know how to do it the right way.
Okay, so now before we get to our final question, we would like to close out the show with some Spitfire questions. These questions are meant to be answered quickly. Are you ready?
Ooh, ready, I'm ready.
What's your favorite color?
Blue,
What's your favorite animal?
gorilla,
Where's your favorite vacation spot?
Aruba,
What's your favorite song?
Gravity by John Mayer,
What's your favorite movie?
The Town,
What's your favorite candy?
Watermelon Sour Patch,
What is one thing you can't live without?
my car.
That was fun and great job staying on your toes. For our final question, we like to ask all of our guests the same question. If you could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
When I would go back and tell my younger self, um, enjoy the process, enjoy all the little things in life. Um, Anything that you set out to do or be in this world, um, you are not only prepared and ready for the moment, but um, it's a great opportunity, for your personal um, and professional growth, and enjoy every moment in the process. Um, Never be satisfied with anything that you do. There's always room for improvement, though. There's always room to get better. Um, is it hard? Yes, but it makes it so much worth it on the other side. And if you just stay the course and enjoy the little things in life, then you'll be just fine going forward.
Wow, that was such an awesome conversation. A big thank you to Coby for sharing his story with us. Coby, is there anything you would like to add, or if maybe people wanted to learn more about you, where should they go?
Uh, um, no, not any questions, but I really appreciate you guys having me. This is awesome. For you guys to be, at this age, 9 years old, starting a podcast, um, something that you guys clearly are passionate about is really great. Um, it's it's gonna set you guys up for even bigger things in life down the road. You know, having a great personality like this, having a podcast like this that is gonna do great, and you guys are gonna have so many great people down the road. So I want you guys to continue to, you know, do this and enjoy it in the moment. Keep on practicing because practice makes perfect, but you guys are doing a great job already. But remember, there's always room for improvement. There's always ways to get better. But I'm excited to follow you guys in this journey. Um, and I really appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks again, Coby. We are excited to watch your future grow. We're so excited. We learned so much today, and we hope you did too. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us so you never miss an episode of Little Voices, Big Questions. And remember, no matter how little your voice is, your questions can change the world. See you next time.